Billie Eilish. As one of the biggest voices of the century, Billie Eilish has managed to gain over 100 million monthly listeners on Spotify, billions of streams on her top songs, 124 million Instagram followers, and an ungodly amount of sold-out shows. As of recent, Billie has been known for her hit single off her new album Hit Me Hard and Soft, Birds of a Feather, with songs like Wildflower and Chihiro also being crowd favorites. Billie has been making music since she was 13 years old, and has been my favorite artist since I was 7. With all of those years of massive and ongoing success brings a lot of lore. Lore that could perhaps be organized into an iceberg. The Billie Eilish iceberg. Well, not the Billie Eilish iceberg, but one of the many, many that I found on Reddit. We're going to be starting from the top and going through every single item on this list. And yes, I'm aware that I don't really have the best mic for this. I'm literally just using a dollar store pair of earbuds and wrapping a towel over it. So, this is all I got. Bad Guy. We're starting off very bare bones with the basics. Billie's most popular and most streamed song, before Hit Me Hard and Soft, Bad Guy. Bad Guy was released on March 29th, 2019. In the lyrics, Billie taunts someone for being tough while suggesting that she is a better bad guy than he is. Billie wrote Bad Guy with her older brother and producer, Phineas O'Connell. In July of 2019, another version of the song was released in collaboration with the Canadian singer and songwriter Justin Bieber, that we don't talk about here. Although compared to the rest of Billie's discography, this song ranks low for me. One of my favorite parts or fun facts of this song is how it was made, which Billie and Phineas go into detail with in Billie's 2021 documentary, The World's a Little Blurry. Billie and Phineas both go into the song's meaning and the production behind it. Phineas also goes into synths, which is one of my favorite things about his production, but they also go into how they got down the instrumentals. To answer the question, Billie tells the story of how she was walking around the streets with her parents, and after hitting the crosswalk button, decided to take a voice recording of the sound that it made to indicate that it was time to cross the road.
Is this little, like, you press it and it's like, doop, doop, and I was like, that's hard! That's the sound that it makes when you have to wait.
We called that file grart.
That's what it was! I was looking through my voice memos and I saw something that said grart. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, so here's my voice memos. I just looked up grart, February 5th. And this is what I recorded. And then I was not prepared for this part.
That scared me.
Phineas messed around with it, and then it became the foundation of the famous chorus beat drop, I'm the bad guy. Duh. That felt really corny to record. I'm gonna have to keep doing this. Fucking copyright, oh my god, okay. I swear though, once I found this out, I couldn't unhear it. In my head, every time I listen to this song, it's almost always at maximum volume, just so I can hear the Bad Guy has won a bunch of awards and got a bunch of recognition since its release. It's won an MTV Millennial Award for Global Hit, an MTV Music Video Award for Best Editing, an MTV Europe Music Award for Best Song, an MTV Music Award in Japan for Best New International Artist Video, 2 Telehit Awards for Best Angelo Video and Best Angelo Song, an iHeartRadio Music Award for Alternative Rock Song of the Year, and 2 Grammys for Record of the Year and Song of the Year. But the song was okay, I guess. No, I'm being serious. Despite this being one of the most popular, well-loved, and well-known songs ever in the last 5 years or so, Billie herself actually doesn't really like it that much.
Well, objectively, Bad Guy is like the stupidest song in the world. But it's really good. It's good. Oh my God, don't gas. But it's just like, you have to understand, you have to have like humor in it. Like that song is, I'm trolling. You know what I'm saying? Like that song is like supposed to be goofy, but like, it's just funny because I'm like, it's dumb. It's literally like, duh, like what? Like, what does that mean?
It's not uncommon for artists to hate their most popular work, because you never know what's going to go viral and what isn't, but I feel like the average person would be surprised to know this. Green and black hair. Also one of the biggest things that she's known for, her dyed hair. specifically her dyed roots. Specifically, her green roots that she debuted in mid-2019 via an Instagram story. She kept these roots from 2019 to early 2021, before going back to something closer to her natural hair color and dyeing it blonde. Even after she changed her hair though, the green and black kind of attached itself to a part of her brand. Root dyeing kind of became a big trend because of her, and it still is, even currently. The fact that she is young. There really isn't much to say about this. Billie found a lot of Excess what? Billie found a lot of success from a young age. Her first song that was available on Spotify, 6 Feet Under, was released when she was 14 years old. She's also gained an astonishing amount of success at her current age of 23, having been the youngest artist to win all 4 main Grammy categories in the same year: Best New Artist, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Album of the Year at the 2020 Grammy Awards when she was only 18 years old at the time. On August 19th of 2024, she became the most streamed artist on Spotify globally, temporarily replacing artists like Taylor Swift and The Weeknd, and is currently holding an astonishing 100 million monthly listeners, with her most streamed song having up to 2 billion streams, multiple of them going platinum up to 11 times in multiple different countries.
When we all fall asleep, where do we go? When we all fall asleep, where do we go? When we all fall asleep, where do we go? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
WWAFAWDWG. Billie's debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, is usually abbreviated to this. Really don't know how to go about pronouncing this. By fans. Every time I see this or abbreviate this album like this, I feel like a Taylor Swift fan, and I don't know if it's just me. I feel like somebody else has to relate to this feeling. This album includes songs like Bad Guy, Bury a Friend, My Strange Addiction, and I Love You. This album has also won a number of awards and 3 Grammys for Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Best Engineered Album Non-Classical. Don't know what the non-classical is there for, but it's there and it exists. If you had to ask me, I'd say this is, or was, probably Billie's most well-known project. Before Hit Me Hard and Soft. Ocean Eyes. Billie's first song. I don't want to just say that it is, because I swear to God, every time I utter the words that Ocean Eyes was her first song, some other hardcore fan starts going, actually. Because technically, Billie never really wrote this song. Billie's older brother Phineas wrote the song with his band at the time, the Slightlies, but realized that the song would probably fit Billie's vocals and vocal range better. The song was then used for one of Billie's dance choreographies at her dance studio at the time, and the song took off from there. This song also got a hell of a lot of unnecessary remixes, and I have no idea why. Happier Than Ever. Her second album, Happier Than Ever, also abbreviated to HTE. Every time I see this, I read it as Huth. I don't know. I feel like that's not even how it's spelled. That's not how you would say it. But talking about Happier Than Ever can cause some mix-ups in the fan space if you don't specify. Because on this album, there's a title track called Happier Than Ever. Most of the time, though, just from the structure of someone's sentence or by the way that they're talking, you can tell if the subject is the album or the song. Sometimes it does get a little confusing, though. Depression. Billie has always struggled with depression and general mental health issues her whole life, and has been fairly open with it online. In interviews, docs, and her music, Billie has never been afraid to show herself as she is, and the darker sides of what mental health looks like for her. In songs as early as I Don't Want to Be You Anymore, Billie started to branch out from general feelings in situations like heartbreak and love songs, in songs like 6 Feet Under and Ocean Eyes, and started to put more of herself in her music, using the song and its title to touch on her insecurities and lack of self-confidence. I love this song for many reasons. This is one of the first songs that I vividly remember hearing from Billie's limited discography at the time. So whenever it comes out from my shuffle on Spotify, I'm always immediately pushed back to 8-year-old me singing this song around the house. Another thing that I love about this song, that making this video actually made me realize, is the fact that it comes right after Copycat, the opening song on Billie's first EP, Don't Smile at Me. And Billie said herself that this wasn't accidental.
I have a song called Copycat. Y'all know that already. Copycat is basically about, someone doing fucking everything you do. The idea of I don't want to be you anymore was sort of like exactly the opposite. So it's like, you know, Copycat is like, you want to be me so bad, like I'm the shit, but really, no, I'm not. And it's like, you know, you want to be me. I look over at the mirror over here. I don't want to be you.
This song, along with other songs on Don't Smile at Me, like Watch, Party Favor, and Hostage, get into more personal parts of Billie's life, including her struggles with complex relationships, both with herself and with other people. From this point on, Billie continued writing about her depression, relationships, and mental health through her entire discography. In songs like Bitch's Broken Heart, Lovely, Zanny, Wish You Were Gay, When the Party's Over, 8, Silo Milo, Listen Before I Go, I Love You, Everything I Wanted, Getting Older, I Didn't Change My Number, Haley's Comment, Not My Responsibility, Overheated, Everybody Dies, Your Power, TV, The 30th, What Was I Made For, Skinny, Shihiro, Birds of a Feather, Wildflower, The Greatest, L'amour de ma vie, Bittersweet, Blue, and L'amour de ma vie extended version. As you can see, she doesn't talk about it that much. Hotline Bling edit. Back in 2023, just 1 year after the release of her last project, Guitar Songs, Billie released a single called Hotline Edit, a lo-fi cover of the song Hotline Bling by Drake. Yeah, pretty much it. It's pretty short, coming in at exactly 1 minute. WTPO. WTPO is an abbreviation for a song off When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, called When the Party's Over. This song is a popular fan favorite, and the music video is as well. Billie is known for not being a user of CGI or any other types of video effects. None of her music videos ever use them. And because of this, if you're just trying to get into Billie, it's quite fascinating watching the music video for When the Party's Over for the first time, because it's not easy to explain why exactly, or rather how, she is crying black tears, which is why shortly after the music video release, Billie revealed a behind the scenes of how everything was filmed and produced in her documentary. Lovely. Khalid found Billie when she was just rising to fame, and DM'd her on Instagram, letting her know that he was a big fan of her work, and that he was moving to LA soon, so he'd be open if Billie ever wanted to hang out. They started hanging out as friends around Billie's house, and then ended up writing what soon became Lovely at one of their hangout sessions. Lovely is one of Billie's most streamed and well-known songs, having gained over 3 billion streams on Spotify since its release in 2018. Its music video also being one of the most viewed videos on YouTube, with 2.2 billion views. Blosh. Billie's entire brand is basically under the face of her, obviously, and a little tiny guy called Blosh. It's basically just her logo. In the behind-the-scenes video of the What Was I Made For music video, Billie mentions Blosh and how to pronounce it, since apparently it's a big thing on how to pronounce this name.
When the Party's Over, with a teeny tiny Blosh necklace. There was an even smaller one, but you couldn't even see it.
What Was I Made For? What Was I Made For is a song that Billie wrote and produced with the help of Phineas to be in the soundtrack of the 2023 Barbie movie, made by Greta Gerwig. This song covers topics of growing up, womanhood, and struggles with relationship and inspiration, with lyrics like, I'm sad again, don't tell my boyfriend, it's not what he's made for, and Think I Forgot How to Be Happy. Most people who only know of this song or that Billie made this song don't know that making this song is exactly what re-inspired or sparked up Billie's love for music. She admitted in an interview how her and her brother were genuinely talking about quitting or taking a break from music before this opportunity showed up.
Well, also, this was also, I have to say that, like, I don't know, we'd really been having both of us, like, usually it's just me with the writer's block, but not even writer's block, but just the, like, frustration in writing, and Phineas has always been the one that's like, no, like, let's write, and honestly, we were in a period of time where we were both, like, through this last winter, we've both been, like, incredibly uninspired, and we've still been working and trying to make stuff, and honestly, that song was, like, the first thing we'd written in a minute, and so even though we were coming up with ideas and coming up with this and that, like, it was like, and you know, I remember after we wrote that first, like, half, I go, I think we still got it.
Yeah.
Like, we were really in a zone of feeling like we lost it and feeling like, man, I don't know if we can do this anymore. And we were like, I was 15 years old, 16, 17, and he's a teenager. Like,
Yeah.
You can imagine my thoughts of doubt. Like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And Barbie and Greta just, like, pulled it out of me. I don't know.
Body shaming pics. In October of 2020, paparazzi pictures were released of Billie walking from the gym to her parked car. Instead of her usual baggy style that she had unintentionally built her brand on, she was in a tank top and shorts because she was coming from the gym. Despite the very valid context of this image, the internet decided to take this and run with it, body shaming her to no end. This obviously took a toll on Billie, as it would on anyone in her position, and Billie decided to harness this feeling into her songwriting, releasing songs like Not My Responsibility, Overheated, and now Skinny, as a way to clap back at the general public. Not My Responsibility was released alongside a spoken word music video, and the song itself reads, or I guess listens, like a spoken word poem. The song isn't specific to her, but to women in general in every industry out there, and the way that woman will always be objectified, whether that was the intention or not. She talks about her brand of baggy clothes and how it's always been more restricting than freeing. With the lyrics, some people hate what I wear, some people praise it. Some people use it to shame others, some people use it to shame me. And if I wear what is comfortable, I am not a woman. If I shed the layers, I'm a slut. Though you've never seen my body, you still judge it, and judge me for it. She closes the song saying that she's learning to come to peace with the fact that society has a lot of work to do, but that work isn't being done yet. Saying, so while I feel your stares, your disapproval, or your sigh of relief, if I lived by them, I'd never be able to move. Overheated and Skinny are much more personalized to her experience in the industry, however, with lyrics like, and everybody said it was a letdown. I was only built like everybody else now, but I didn't get a surgery to help out, 'cause I'm not about to redesign myself now, am I? And people say I look happy just because I got skinny, but the old me is still me, and maybe the real me, and I think she's pretty. Phineas, her brother. He makes music too. It's alright, I guess. Bury a Friend. Bury a Friend is another fan favorite, and the music video is very, very popular, sitting at just over 480 million views. Bury a Friend is a song about sleep paralysis from the perspective of a monster or entity that lives under Billie's bed. And the music video, along with the official art that she made for this album and the song, reflects that perfectly. The production of this song is something that I appreciate even more than the message or the lyrics, because it really puts you in Billie's head, and the song does really feel like you're in a dream that you just can't seem to wake up from. Although the lyrics in this are really satisfying to me, especially the way that Billie very obviously wrote the lyrics for this to sound purposefully repetitive. What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go? Also, if you're wondering who the second male voice is that comes in at some of the backing vocals or instrumental breaks of the song, it's another artist called... let me look up how to say this. It's another artist called Meki Rain. I was literally wondering for years if it was Phineas or, who the fuck it was, and I never thought to look it up until just now. There was a fan theory that went around where people were speculating that the whole When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go album as a whole was a sleep paralysis dream, and each song was a different sleep paralysis identity or monster telling or singing you the lyrics of each song. But Billie never 100% confirmed it. A TikTok/Musical.ly trend was created due to the dark and eerie nature of this music video, where you basically just do a gymnastics backbend, but very slowly, and you hold your phone to face your face, so it makes it look kind of trippy. Billie would also honor this trend when performing it live by doing a very obvious backbend during the main beat drop. Bad Guy meaning. With Bad Guy being one of Billie's most popular and recognizable songs, she's already explained the meaning of it multiple times in various interviews and talk shows. At the bottom of the Genius page for Bad Guy, it quotes Expression twice? Don't know why this showed up twice, already covered it. Eilish perfume. In November of 2021, Billie released her first scent from her fragrance line, Eilish. After the release of Eilish No. 1, she released Eilish No. 2 and No. 3, alongside promotional videos to go along with them. Now that Eilish 2 and 3 are out, she released another fragrance called Your Turn. I really am upset, to be honest, because of how expensive all these perfumes are. Your Power meaning. Though Billie sings this song with a light and breathy voice, the lyrics contrast the audio tone of the song drastically. With lyrics like, and you swear you didn't know, no wonder why you didn't ask, how dare you, and how could you, Will you only feel bad when they find out? If you could take it all back, would you? And I thought that I was special. You made me feel like it was my fault. You were the devil. Does it keep you in control for you to keep her in a cage? And you swear you didn't know. You said you thought she was your age. Paint a powerful and painful real picture of grooming and unhealthy power dynamics, not only in industries, but in real life in general. I'm rhyming like crazy here. In Genius Annotations, Billy says, it's really a big topic. It's about a lot of different things. It's sadly very relatable for people. I'm not gonna make it about my experiences, because it's really hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of people have experienced this every single day. It's everywhere you look, and I hate it, and I wanted to say something about it, and I'm not going to go too deep into the specific lyrics and what they mean and what they're really about, but it's a problem that's occurring everywhere you look. And everyone is someone or knows someone who's been taken advantage of. There are multiple fan theories on what this song is about, but the most agreed upon one is that it's about one of her ex-boyfriends that took advantage of her when she was only 16. 7AMP, I think. I don't know. How else would you pronounce this name? You tell me.
SNL 2019 and 2021.
In 2019, Billy was on SNL alongside her host, Woody Harrelson. During her time on SNL that year, she did a live performance of Bad Guy and I Love You, a monologue, and a good amount of skits. A lot of clips from the skits that she did are still used or referenced to by fans even over 5 years later. 2 years later, Billy came back to SNL with host Kate McKinnon, with more skits and a live performance of Happier Than Ever and Male Fantasy.
Oversized clothes meaning.
Oversized clothing is something that has been associated with Billy over the years. Most people would probably think that she was trying to build some sort of brand, but every time that I've seen someone ask Billy about her style, she's never said that it was intentional. Still, it'll still probably say the number one thing that people associate with her, whether she likes it to or not. She's written songs about this, like Not My Responsibility, and talked about this before, but the thing that speaks to me the most is when she said this.
I don't even know how to put it. I don't like when other people compliment me on wearing a lot of, big clothes or whatever, or not being super sexually whatever. I don't like it when people try to praise me for that by shaming others who do that. So I think it's unfair to be like, I really like that you don't wear this, or that you don't make everything about sex and you don't make everything da 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 da. Because I think anyone is allowed to wear whatever they want and do whatever they want, and if I wanted to take all my clothes off and make a video, then I'm fucking going to, I'm not I just don't think it's, I don't like that people don't like that. And I don't like that now I'm this opposite of that. That makes me feel undesirable. And I don't like that you have to take all your clothes off to be desirable. So, everybody's hot. Let them be hot. Let them be naked, dude. For real. Let them go. This is just what I want to wear right now, and if I want to take all my clothes off tomorrow, I'm going to. Nobody can stop that.
7 Grammys plus Oscar.
In 2020, probably the time that this person made this iceberg, Billie ended the Academy Award night with 7 Grammys alongside her brother, Phineas, at only 18 years old, becoming the youngest person to win a nomination in every major category. Only 4 years later, they became the youngest people in the world to win 2 Oscars for their single, What Was I Made For?
Vanity Fair.
Ooh, I love talking about this. Oh my god. For the last 9 years now, every year, Billie will do an interview with Vanity Fair where she answers the same questions exactly a year apart. She started this in 2018 at 17 years old, and to the public's knowledge, is planning to keep these going for the foreseeable future. In these interviews, she answers questions like, what day is it? How many Instagram followers do you have? What's the most amount of people that you've performed in front of? And what advice would you give yourself a year from now? Of course, they add and get rid of questions to mix things up, but she generally answers the same questions every year on October 18th, though Vanity posts it on every December 18th to sync it up with Billie's birthday.
Spider shoot.
In September of 2023, Billie did a photo shoot for Allure magazine, and in a few of the final photos, she was photographed with spiders in and around her mouth. Billie's been known to be cool with spiders for shoots, like for her music video for her song You Should See Me in a Crown. The video starts with a shoot of a crown covered in a spider. Why am I speaking grammatically incorrect? The video starts with a shoot of a crown covered in spiders, and continues with Billie picking up a spider, slowly but surely letting more and more spiders crawl on and around her, with one coming out from her mouth near the end of the music video.
Vogue 2021.
In 2021, Billie did a shoot for the cover of Vogue magazine, where she was interviewed and talked about things like abuse, body image, and the media. She focused on how the media treats women and their bodies, and the hypocrisy that sometimes develops when building a brand on body positivity. If you're about body positivity, why would you wear a corset? Why wouldn't you show your actual body? It's all about what makes you feel good. If you want to wear a dress that somebody thinks that you look too big to be wearing, fuck it. If you feel like you look good, you look good. She goes on to talk about how she noticed a TV trope where as soon as a classic hot girl enters a relationship, she undergoes a personality transplant, and how insane she thinks that is. She's this completely different character of a wifey. It really fucked me up. Everybody's like, you can't make a wife out of a hoe. And it's like, you're attracted to that person though. You created that person. Suddenly you're a hypocrite if you want to show your skin, and you're easy, and you're a slut, and you're a whore. Showing your body and showing your skin are not, should not take any respect away from you. One of my favorite quotes from this interview is, "You can always be taken advantage of. That's a big problem in the world of domestic abuse or statutory rape." Girls that were very confident and strong-willed finding themselves in situations where they're like, oh my god, I'm the victim here, and it's so embarrassing and humiliating and demoralizing to be in that position of thinking that you know so much and then you realize, I'm being abused right now.
Red and black roots.
Billie's most recent hair dyeing look, as of 2024 or 25, is black hair with red roots. People make jokes about Red Roots Billie being a completely different person, because since getting red roots, she's been more unhinged, or it seemed like she had a big lack of media training. The Renee Rapp of 2025, if you will. Though Renee is making a comeback, so I don't know if that comparison really sticks. But we're moving on.
Jessie Rutherford.
Jessie Rutherford is one of Billie's exes. Before dating Billie, Jessie was known mostly as the lead singer of popular rock band The Neighborhood. One of the biggest concerns that sat with fans and the general public was Billie and Jessie's age gap. At the time of dating, in 2023, Billie was 21 and Jessie was 31 years old. Now, of course, everything is legal after the age of 18, according to most creepy men. So the relationship lasted for just over half a year, ending in May of 2023. For the duration of their relationship, however, they were seen very obviously out together at multiple events, the most notable being the LACMA Art and Film Gala. Ever since the release of Hit Me Hard and Soft, it's been speculated that the 7th track on the album, L'amour de ma vie, is about Jessie, their relationship, and their breakup, with lyrics like, "So you found her, now go fall in love. Thought I was depressed or losing my mind, my stomach upset almost all of the time, but after I left, it was obvious why. And you said you'd never fall in love again because of me, then you moved on immediately." After releasing this quite blatantly obvious diss track, and just days after the release of Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie released L'amour de ma vie over a now extended cut, with lyrics that left my jaw on the floor on the first listen. We are moving on now.
Wig era.
In 2021, Billie posted this TikTok. Which led people to speculate from that point on that every single hair color that she'd had, apart from her blonde hair in 2022 and 2023, because that's her natural hair, was a wig. Because no interviewer has ever asked Billie something like, "Do you wear wigs?"
Have you worn wigs?
No, I have not.
Will you wear wigs?
Maybe.
When will you wear wigs?
Billie has never shouted at anyone, "Yes, I wear wigs," but it's become kind of pointless to deny, especially in the last couple of years. The most recent time that I can think of this happening was during her current Hit Me Hard and Soft tour. There was a clip going around of what looked like her adjusting her wig during her performance of When the Party's Over, but I seriously can't find a clip of it anywhere anymore.
The Office.
No, Billie, I haven't done that dance since my wife died.
In one of Billie's most popular songs, My Strange Addiction, she includes samples and clips from one of the most popular sitcoms out there, The Office. At first, it seems like these clips of dialogue are there for no reason, but when looking, I found that one of Billie's favorite shows is The Office, which is why she decided to include clips from it. The show is her strange addiction. The inclusion of these clips... What the fuck did I write? It's having a fucking spasm. However, okay. The inclusion of these clips, however, have led me to unintentionally memorize random parts of random episodes from a random show that I will never watch. Literally every time I listen to the song, I pause just to sing the dialogue parts. I'm very fun on Aux, I know.
Everything I Wanted meaning.
In 2019, after a long hiatus of original music, Billie released the single that would later be featured on her debut album, Happier Than Ever, Everything I Wanted. Everything I Wanted has a very obvious dark meaning, one that can be picked up on without a lot of decoding. This song is written from the perspective of a dream that Billie had, where she committed suicide, and everybody in her life seemed to move on like nothing had happened, a true nightmare for anyone to imagine. The song jumps between hopeful and hopeless, with the chorus reflecting the fact that she knows that she has the support of her friends and family, specifically her brother. With lyrics like, "Nobody cried, nobody even noticed," "I saw them standing right there, kind of thought they might care," and you say, "As long as I'm here, no one can hurt you." The song is accompanied by a music video of her and Phineas driving straight into a giant body of water while strategically avoiding each other's eyes, until finally they're forced to talk to each other, finding comfort in each other's presence and support.
Shark.
Shark is one of Billie's dogs, a pit bull that she adopted in Los Angeles. He can be heard in a couple of her songs, and he's often with Billie while her and Phineas are recording. He's more obvious in songs like I Didn't Change My Number, but Billie also revealed that he made some almost unintentional noise in the final recording of The Greatest.
13 Reasons Why.
Another one of Billie's well-known songs was made to be featured on the soundtrack of 13 Reasons Why, Bored, alongside Lovely, that was featured on the soundtrack but not written for the series. When asked about the meaning of Bored, Billie said, "The video was inspired by being trapped in a relationship that was going nowhere. When you're in such a toxic place with someone and you're treated so badly for such a long time that eventually you're used to it."
Billie's car.
I really don't know what to say about this, to be honest. The only thing I can think of is the one time she was doing an interview, I think in 2019, and an interviewer said that she didn't have her license, but she had a car. And then she told the interviewer that that wasn't true. And the interviewer said, "Oh, well, the internet says you don't."
You have a car, but you do not have a driver's license.
Yes, I do.
Oh, the
yes,
internet
I
says
do.
you don't.
Who's the internet?
I don't know. Are you
Little
driving?
ignorant. Yeah, you want to see my driver's license?
Are you good?
I have it right there. I'm great. What?
You're a great driver.
I have an incredible car.
How's your parallel
She does me
parking?
good. My parallel parking is actually fantastic. I'm good. I'm very good.
Okay, I love that.
Right? I'm very good. I'm a good driver.
NDA meaning.
Under the genius description of this song, it says, on NDA, Billie details her struggles with fame, particularly the trials she has to face to keep romance under the radar by having those around her sign an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement. As the track progresses, Eilish can't help but wish her life was different and didn't require her to navigate the obstacles she faces. Billie also does one of my favorite things in this song, and name drops her previous title tracks on Happier Than Ever. "I've been having fun getting older now. Didn't change my number, made him shut his mouth. At least I gave him something he can cry about. I thought about my future, but I want it now." She also does this in the closing track of her latest album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. "I thought we were the same, birds of a feather, now I'm ashamed. I told you a lie, désolé mon amour. I'm trying my best, don't know what's in store. Open up the door, in the back of my mind. I'm still overseas, a bird in a cage, thought you were made for me." NDA has broken the silence on a lot of the behind-the-scenes things that go on when you get as much fame as Billie at such a young age. Stalkers, paparazzi, absurd amounts of hate all of the time. The natural progression of NDA is a track from Hit Me Hard and Soft on a similar topic titled The Diner, this time from the perspective of a stalker instead of her own, making both songs twisted in their own unique ways.
Invisalign.
My Invisalign has.
I have taken out my Invisalign.
My Invisalign, and this is the album.
Billie wears Invisalign. Pretty simple. What I think this has to be referring to is the opening track of her first album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, called 7! The track is not a song, but rather a kind of intro to the album, where she and her brother laugh and joke about her taking out her Invisalign before starting the recording of the album. When asked why she decided to include this in the first place, Billie answered, "The real reason is because every time we would sit down to record, I had to take it out." There's also a reference of this made in the music video for the following track, Bad Guy, where Billie takes out her Invisalign and gives it to a bodyguard before starting to sing. In Genius Annotations, it's also mentioned that Billie has been asked how to pronounce the track name, and her response was, "It's just 7! I don't know. It's literally me taking out my Invisalign. That's it."
Mom bod.
I think that the only thing that this could be referring to is the spike of body shaming towards her in 2021. I couldn't think of a single other thing that this could be referring to, but I feel like it's probably something else as well. Some weird clips from a random interview in 2017 that I can't find or something.
Doc.
This made me so confused, okay. Just looking at Doc, I thought it was Doc Martens or something, and I was half afraid that I'd miss some weird brand collaboration. After the release of her debut album, Billie released a documentary called The World's a Little Blurry, showing the full behind the scenes of making the album from start to finish. Now that Billie's released Hit Me Hard and Soft, people have been asking her where the doc is or when it's gonna come out, and it's been mentioned in passing by Finneas and Billie themselves.
And so basically what we did, we'd never done this before either. I would sit here.
Here, I can pull up the sound if you're interested.
But this is how we wrote everything. And I actually okay, so I filmed pretty much the entire making of the album on this camera and my phone. I was just watching the footage back, and it was so amazing to see. And there's this many videos, but there's this one video where I'm sitting there like this, holding this, and Finneas is coming up with what is one of the coolest produced songs of ours, in my opinion.
Hands down.
And he's just making it up, and he's like, that one part. Yeah. And I literally go,
Maggie and Patrick.
Her mom and dad, Maggie and Patrick. Her mom is a lot more known in the public eye than her dad, participating in events with Billie like the Overheated events in London, appearing in interviews, supporting her at shows, and much, much more.
Where are the avocados?
Where are the avocados was Billie's old handle on all of her social media before she had as much of a following that she does today. This led to fans adopting the fandom name, the Avocados, although people have still been racking their brains on what fans should be called now that that's no longer her username.
Not smiling.
From 2017 to around 2020 or 2021, Billie was known for not smiling a lot. In pictures, interviews, everything. I feel like this is the only thing that this could mean. Either this or her first EP, Don't Smile at Me.
Nike.
In 2019, Billie Eilish collaborated with Nike to create her own shoes. They're still up on her website in her US store and are still stupidly expensive. Holy shit.
Kanye and Travis Scott.
In early 2022, there was a brief controversy over something that Billie had said during a concert. While she was performing, somebody in the crowd needed help, so she paused her show, saying, "I wait for people to be okay until I keep going." Unfortunately for Billie, just months before, there was an incident at a Travis Scott concert. Because of this, whether it was said intentionally or not, Kanye West refused to play at that year's Coachella unless Billie apologized for what she had said. To my knowledge, there is no information as to how this got resolved, or if it even did.
Why Billie went blonde.
In March of 2021, Billie revealed that she had dyed her hair blonde with a short video and an Instagram post. At the Met Gala that year, when asked why she decided to go back to her natural hair color, she said, "It was just time. It was just time for this, and I feel like I've grown so much in the last year. I've always wanted to do this. I was just scared and didn't feel comfortable in my skin, and I feel like I finally did."
YSSMIAC Vivo Lift.
In 2018, Billie did a live performance of You Should See Me in a Crown with Vivo. That's pretty much it. I feel like I'm missing something here, but I could literally not find a single thing except for these two performances.
Fashion.
Fashion has always been a big part of Billie's career and brand, but it's recently evolved over the years. In 2017, yellow was her color, which made sense for her at the time, especially when she later announced the release of her first EP, Don't Smile at Me. She kept the yellow theme on the red carpets and in music videos until around 2018, when she started implementing green into her wardrobe. Just a year after this, she was leaning a lot more into the baggy look, and kept the green by dyeing her hair. From 2019 to 2023, Billie was usually always seen in some variation of baggy clothes, but as of recent, in the last 2 years, she started to experiment and become more confident in wearing tighter clothes. Despite this, however, Billie doesn't want the public to think that she has just grown out of her insecurities, and she still talks about them very openly, like in the opening single of Hit Me Hard and Soft, Skinny. People say I look happy just because I got skinny, but the old me is still me, and maybe the real me, and I think she's pretty. Just got very suddenly, overwhelmingly tired. Maybe it's because I went to bed at midnight yesterday. Just might be. Guys, I'm so casual about this. I'm so Chapel Roan casual about this, guys.
Carpool karaoke.
There's a popular series on YouTube where James Corden, the host of The Late Night Show with James Corden, will get celebrities or very talented people to go on a drive with him and have a karaoke session. He's featured people like Adele, One Direction, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, Celine Dion, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and many, many more. Billie was featured on the series in 2019 and played and talked about songs like Bad Guy, Ocean Eyes, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, 8, and When the Party's Over.
Billie's journal.
On multiple occasions, Billie has shown her journal in explaining her songwriting process and her mental state at the time of the journal entries, or most of the time, drawings. In her documentary, she shows a lot of her journal, and still does now, especially in the context of mental health and her own music. In 2024, Billie shared an illustration and unfinished lyrics that she had written while struggling with summer depression. In a video with AMX, she showed off her journal when talking about scrap lyrics for one of her most popular songs, Birds of a Feather. The most relevant times that she has shown her journal to other people is when talking about her songs. Billie has synesthesia, so she's shown off a lot of her songs and album visuals on multiple occasions. Why was that fucking seashells on the seashore?
Nicki Minaj.
When Nicki Minaj was trying to build up anticipation for her 5th studio album, Pink Friday 2, she started teasing features, including... I gotta look these up. Including Lourdes, Drake, and Lil Wayne. Billie was never at all mentioned in this conversation, but when Pop Crave sent this tweet, something that should have been taken with a grain of salt, everyone decided to run with it. Everyone was buzzing to see what Billie had to add to this album, only to find out on its release that Nicki had only sampled one of Billie's songs, When the Party's Over, which is why her name was mentioned in relation to this album, with Phineas also being named as one of the writers and main producers of the track that had the sample in it, Are You Gone Already?
O'Connell.
Billie Eilish's full name is Billie Eilish Parapet O'Connell, yet publicly, everywhere, her professional and artist name is Billie Eilish. That's it. Moving on.
Lana Del Rey.
Billie and Lana are known to have a history. In 2018, the two were photographed together after the ASCAP Pop Music Awards. And in 2024, at Coachella, Lana brought her out for a duet performance of Ocean Eyes and a few of Lana's other songs.
Accidental teal hair.
Billie revealed in an interview with Rolling Stone that the iconic blue hair that she had had for most of the beginning of her fame was actually an accident. She said, "Dude, what's so interesting to me is that blue has always been my least favorite color, which is so stupid because my hair was blue for years, but I didn't mean for it to be. That was an accident. Somebody put too much toner in my white hair and suddenly it was lavendery blue, and then I kept getting it blue, and then I was known as this blue-haired girl and I fucking hated it. I went months and months trying to get the color out, and then I had this teal hair, but over the last couple of years I've just been like, wait, blue is who I am at my core."
Tourette's.
Most people don't know this, but Billie Eilish has Tourette's syndrome. She's only talked about it a few times, and it gets brought up a couple times in her The World's a Little Blurry documentary. Something that kind of bothers me personally is the fact that if you look up Billie Eilish Tourette's, you'll get so many TikTok compilations of Billie. This hasn't just happened with Billie, but with almost any content creator who's revealed that they have Tourette's. I just think that it's more stupid than anything that people are taking the time to make compilations of this, when it's obvious that Billie doesn't want this to be the main focus of her online persona. I say I don't understand how people have the time to make these videos while I sit here talking for hours about the same person. But that's not the point.
Sorry I'm not Beyonce.
Literally never heard about this before this video. Moving on. In April of 2022, Billie was announced to be headlining the second weekend of that year's Coachella. Billie, being only 20 years old at the time, was very much not confident in performing at such a well-known event. "Dude, this is weird," Billie said from the stage, according to Los Angeles Times. "I should not be headlining this shit." So, as a kind of self-deprecating joke to close her show, she told the crowd, "Thank you, Coachella, I'm sorry I'm not Beyonce," before leaving the stage.
Paramore.
At 2023's annual Coachella, popular rock band Paramore brought out Billie as a special guest for a joint performance of one of their most well-known songs, All I Wanted. Billie also brought them out the previous year when she headlined Coachella for an acoustic performance of Misery Business. The lead singer, Hayley Williams, also did backing vocals for Billie's performance of Happier Than Ever that same night. In a 2020 interview, Hayley Williams talked about her deep respect for Billie, saying, "We got a head start on the culture that is the internet now, and the fast-paced life that artists and people are living. If I were Billie Eilish today, and granted she's on a rocket that's going so much higher than I would have ever dreamed for Paramore, if that were me, I would be insane and struggle. I'm so happy that there's someone like her who has a great, really cool family around her."
Never Felt So Alone.
In 2023, Labyrinth, most known for his songs featured on the soundtrack of Euphoria, released a single called Never Felt So Alone. As the song began to gain more traction, more and more people started to wonder who the woman's voice was in the backing vocals. Later, it was revealed to be Billie, who is also featured in the credits for this song, along with Phineas.
Q.
Brandon Quentin Adams has many names. On stage, he's called 7AMP, but Billie has always referred to him as Q. Billie started dating him when she was 17 and he was 22. There seems to be a theme here. Somehow, they managed to keep their relationship completely private for the year that they were dating. The only reason why we know about Q is because Billie mentioned him in her The World's a Little Blurry documentary. When asked about this relationship, Billie said, "I just wasn't happy. I didn't want the same things he wanted, and I don't think that that's fair for him. I wonder why. I don't think you should be in a relationship super excited about things that the other person couldn't care less about. There was just a huge lack of effort. I do love him though, which made it harder. I'm not over him. I didn't find someone else. I didn't stop having love for him. I just spent time away from him for a little bit, and I was like, wow, I'm missing so much because I'm worried about you all the time. And I don't want what you want, and you don't want what I want. I don't want to fix him. I can't fix him. I tried." After their relationship was known, Brandon got a lot of criticism about their relationship, and he addressed it by saying, "Sometimes people disagree and don't want the same things as one another. It's on you to understand there's several points of views to the situation. Anyone who knows me knows where my heart is. I stay with a smile on my face even when I'm hurting."
Disney Plus.
On September 3rd of 2023, Billie made her Disney Plus debut with her documentary/musical, Happier Than Ever, A Love Letter to Los Angeles. This documentary is short, coming in at only 1 hour and 15 minutes, just a few minutes above the length of her album, which she performs throughout the length of the documentary.
Burritos.
Billie has always been very public about the fact that she's vegan, and one of her favorite vegan foods is burritos, which has led to a lot of talk about burritos, like an ungodly amount. Oh my god. It's literally become one of the things that I associate with Billie at this point. Like, I looked at this item on this list and was like, yep, that's Billie Eilish. Oh my god. Moving on.
Sneakers.
Growing up, Billie had a very noticeable shoe and sneaker collection, and was very open to talking about her love for footwear. She even did a video with Complex in 2019 where she took the time to explain how she picks out her shoes. I also feel like now it's relevant to mention that she made Hit Me Hard and Soft shoes in collaboration with Converse. They were really cool, but also really fucking expensive.
Labyrinth.
I don't know why Labyrinth is mentioned a second time on here. I'm gonna say it's because of the time that she came out to one of his shows to perform Never Felt So Alone. Yeah.
I Love You New York performance.
Oh, I hate to talk about this one. I really don't know why Billie fans love to bring up Billie's literal real trauma, but here we are. In 2019, on her When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go tour, she was performing I Love You, a song off the album, when she ended up breaking down in tears near the end of the performance. This song talks about suicide and was written for one of her close friends that took their own life. Despite the tragic backstory of the song, this is also seen as kind of a sweet moment because the crowd kept singing for her when she couldn't.
Takashi Murakami.
Takashi Murakami is a Japanese artist who collaborated with Billie to make the music video for her song You Should See Me in a Crown, and made a real-life figure of her that many fans ended up buying. In the music video, he used dynamic yet simple, but sometimes also heavily complex and terrifying visuals to make Billie's song come to life.
Hotline Bling cover.
Oh yeah, I already talked about this. I'm not talking about it again, man.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
CGI.
Oh, I love to talk about this. One thing that Billie has said in the past and has stood on is the fact that she never wants to use any type of CGI or special effects for any part of her creative process, specifically her music videos. This has led to some interesting shoots. Her most notable being the music videos for Happier Than Ever, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, Bury a Friend, NDA, When the Party's Over, and Zanny. I could seriously go on naming all of her music videos because they're all insane, but those are just the most notable ones. Billie also isn't afraid to show the behind the scenes of filming in such sometimes painful and nerve-wracking environments. Multiple behind the scenes videos can be very easily found of Billie talking about the process behind certain music videos, like how things felt physically, or just showing what was happening behind the cameras to make sure that Billie didn't get badly injured. Though, the shooting of her visuals is usually physically labored. Like for the shooting of the Hit Me Hard and Soft album cover, Billie had to stay in a giant, deep tank of water with various weights strapped to her ankles, waist, and wrists to prevent her from floating, going up and down, in and out of water for 7 hours, while also being fully clothed. Sometimes, not sometimes, actually every time that a new music video from Billie drops, my mind always goes to the sheer amount of effort that went into making this, and the fact that I would probably not be able to handle the conditions.
Peaches.
Peaches is one of Billie's family dogs. All I gotta say about that.
Pepper.
One of her childhood dogs. He died though.
YSSMIAC Sherlock.
The line, "You should see me in a crown," used to name her song, "You Should See Me in a Crown," was inspired by a line from the show Sherlock. "Honey, you should see me in a crown." Phineas heard it and instantly wanted to do something with it, which is what led to them naming this song.
WWAFA live streams.
When her debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, came out, Billie ended up having to cancel most of her shows from her tour due to the 2020 virus. Because of this, she ended up doing a live stream of a set list that her fans could watch from home, and hopefully have the closest thing to a concert experience as possible. She obviously did this alongside her brother, who played instruments and did vocals with her during the whole 1-hour performance.
I actually don't know how to say this guy's name. XXS Tentacion.
I don't want to talk about this for too long because it isn't something that I feel like I have the right to get into. XXX Temptation was one of Billie's closest friends, which is why his passing hit so hard for her when it happened. Billie has an unreleased song called 6/18/18 that people say is for him because of the lyrics and the title of the song being the date of his passing.
Swarm.
In 2023, Billie got her first notable acting role in a TV series called Swarm as a character called Eva, a manipulative all-woman cult leader. I don't know, her acting's good, and I see a lot of clips of this from edits, but that's all I can think to say about this.
HTE is about Q.
People speculate Happier Than Ever, the song, to be about one of her exes known as Q. Most people, when talking about their relationship, talk about their relationship and how it was objectively unhealthy. So, if we were going with that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But hey, I guess we'll never know.
Dog in IDCMN.
In the start of her song from Happier Than Ever, the album, I Didn't Change My Number, an what did I even just try to say? An incomprehensible sound can be heard before Billie says, "Okay," and the instruments come in, and she starts singing.
Okay.
After the album's release, Billie revealed that it was noise from her dog, Shark, and that they had decided to include it at the start of the track, since it was something that she had saved in her notes app on her phone. When I looked this up, I saw people saying that every time they shuffle Billie, the intro jump scares them, which confuses me a great amount, because to me, that sound isn't loud enough to be a jump scare at all. But maybe I just listened to too much Car Seat Headrest and Glass Beach, I don't know.
Oscar de la Renta.
I know I keep saying this, but I seriously had no idea that this existed until I did the research for this video. At the 2021 Met Gala, at 19, Billie decided to wear a nude tulle. Okay, I'm looking this up. Billie decided to wear a nude tulle dress from Oscar de la Renta, Dominican fashion designer. She was very interested in surprising everyone with a look that she hadn't done before, said Fernando Garcia, a creative director for the label, describing the dress as very clean and sensual. It felt like a risk for her. It felt like something that made her nervous in a good way. A lot of people were comparing her to Marilyn Monroe, Barbie, and other similar celebrities that night.
Zoe.
Zoe Donahoe is one of Billie's close friends and has been for a long time now.
Drew.
And Drew is one of Billie's former best friends.
Manda.
I don't know who the fuck Manda is. Moving on.
Billie Eilish experience.
For the release of her debut album, Billie created an exhibit in LA, for lack of a better word, where you could go around in different rooms and experience the different songs and aspects of When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go. Billie has synesthesia, so I assume that it would probably be very satisfying to see her visuals come to life, even if it was just in a small way.
Eilish ukulele.
In 2020, Billie collaborated with a brand called Fender to make a ukulele. I'm pretty sure that you can buy it, but I can't really find much on it, so don't quote me on that. Billie revealed that the ukulele was one of the first instruments that she learned, so it only felt right for her to make her own. What the freak are these words, man? Why did I write this? The Eilish ukulele included a sapele top, black matte finish, her recognizable Bloch logo, walnut fingerboard white dot inlays, and nickel hardware. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this was available to buy, or else why would someone make a product that you can't buy? It wouldn't make sense for you to not be able to buy this. You can buy it.
Listen Before I Go, meaning.
This 4-minute and 2-second song of pure pain and agony, understandably, is about suicide. Why is every car leaving their driveway? I'm sorry. What the freak, man. Placed strategically right after the track I Love You on her album that talks about the same thing but from opposing perspectives. Here's a clip from her doc about it.
You're gonna go that dark with this song? Are you seriously implying that you jump off the roof? Do you feel okay about a song like that? You don't worry about that?
I feel like it's something I want to have said.
You don't worry about
This song is the reason I don't. Like, having this way of saying it instead of doing it is better.
Ilo Milo.
On When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? There's a track called Ilo Milo, written and inspired by one of Billy's favorite video games by the same name. She explained this when she was featured on a YouTube series, Hot Ones.
See, I used to play, like, not really the classics. I would play, like, I used to play Ilo Milo a lot. I loved Ilo Milo. That was, like, my favorite game in the world. Do you know what that game is?
No.
It's this game.
School me.
Where it's these two little boo-boos. They're so cute. They're these little creatures. One is named Ilo and the other's named Milo. It's this sort of anti-gravity world where there's all these little blocks and they start apart from each other. And the idea is you just get to each other, and then when they get to each other, they just hug and they do this little dance, and that's the whole game. There's no prize. You just get to each other. So the whole idea is the game is just like losing the person you love and then finding them again. It's so cute.
Fun fact, I actually read a poem for my French class where I used titles of Billy songs as the base, and Ilo Milo got a mention.
Ocean Eyes dance music video.
Billy had Ocean Eyes made for her dance class to choreograph a dance to. So, to pay tribute to that, she released a dance version of the song, along with another music video for it.
LA Children's Chorus.
This was the choir that Billy was in when she was younger. I kind of really don't know how people found this information, but I digress.
Tattoos.
Billy has shown off her tattoos before, wearing clothes that make them very visible, but most people don't even know that she has any. Billy has at least 5 tattoos, according to Google. The first one that she got being a tattoo of her middle name, Eilish, in the middle of her chest. Then, in November of 2020, she got a massive black dragon on her right thigh. Next, fairies on the back of her left hand in late 2021. And her most recent, a large back tattoo in 2023. Most of her tattoos can obviously be very easily hidden, but most fans usually notice them during live performances or concerts.
Dance.
Billy started dancing when she was a kid at 8 years old, but had to stop in 2016 after a growth plate injury, which pivoted her focus onto music. Although this injury ended up giving her such a big opportunity, obviously, Billy has mentioned that she thinks that having to quit dance might have played a part in her depression in her teen years, because she started to show signs of it right after she left dance. Even though she can no longer dance, however, Billy still brings a lot of energy to the stage, and has licked? What? Disgusting. And has linked dances to some of her songs, like My Boy, Bury a Friend, Bitches Broken Hearts, Everything I Wanted, My Strange Addiction, Ilo Milo, and Lost Cause.
Shark and Oxytocin.
I don't know. Maybe you can also hear Shark in the background of Oxytocin? I'm assuming that's what this means. I can't hear a thing, but like I said, I feel like this is the only thing that this could mean.
WTPO music video shooting.
Another instance of Billy refusing to use CGI. Though, I already talked about this when I mentioned her non-use of CGI, so we're moving on to the next one.
Rainn Wilson interview.
In early 2020, Billy did an interview with American actor Rainn Wilson, who is also in one of her favorite TV shows, The Office, playing one of the main characters. What the fuck are these names? What? Okay. Dwight Schrute. When Billy enters the interview saying that she just finished her 15th rewatch of the show, Rainn decides to quiz her on The Office trivia, to which she ended up killing myself, bro. To which she ended up not doing very well on. That's that.
Full name.
Billy's full name is Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell. Why the fuck is this even here again? I'm pretty sure I already talked about it. Also, another fun fact of me being a very casual fan of Billie Eilish, in like the 3rd or 4th grade, I memorized her full name because every time we got free liberty to do a project on a celebrity or someone we looked up to, I didn't pick my brothers or my mom or like, I don't know, one of the presidents, I picked Billie Eilish. Moving on.
Thinking About You.
There's no date attached to this event, but Billie and Phineas did a cover of the song Thinking About You by Frank Ocean, and it's fairly well known by fans.
Avocados, origins.
Because she kept her old username for so long, Billie has explained the meaning / origins behind her previous username, Where Are the Avocados? This is that explanation.
4 years ago, when I was 4 years ago, I was home alone. And I was just wearing a shirt and nothing else, and I was wearing a grilled cheese. I was making a grilled cheese, not wearing one. I was making a grilled cheese alone, home alone, and avocados are good, and especially they're good with grilled cheeses. And I didn't know where they were, so I shouted, "Where are the avocados?" And I searched the freaking house for so long trying to find these avocados, and they were nowhere, and I don't know where I still haven't mentally found them.
Left pointer finger.
On her Happier Than Ever tour, in the caption of one of her well-known tour photo dumps, Billie wrote the caption, "So I'm being driven insane by the now unseeable fact that my left hand's index finger is always pointed in every photo of me on stage ever. Why?" Then showcasing most of her photos that she had gotten during her shows, and all of them having her pointing her left pointer finger in one way or another. This is really such a strange thing to be a Phantom reference. Oh my god, we're weird.
End of the World.
The date of this is also unknown, but Billie did a cover of The End of the World by Rob Dickinson with Phineas on BBC Radio. The song / cover actually also got pretty popular on TikTok. It was to the point where I thought that Billie and Phineas had wrote this song because I hadn't even ever heard the original before.
Coochie Destroyer 5.
Billie's old handle on TikTok used to be under the name of Coochie Destroyer 5 until May 2nd, 2019, where she changed it to her current Billie Eilish. I still have no idea why this was her old username, like she was running under a fucking burner account or something.
How hard the Grammys were.
During the 2020 and 2025 Grammys, Billie was a big thing. On her way to the Grammys, people were screaming at her how much they hated her and how they hoped she lost at the Grammys. But that night, she ended up leaving with a handful of Grammys alongside her brother, Phineas. After the Grammys that year, she talked about how weird this felt in a few interviews.
I was filled with joy and excitement and shock and disbelief and getting compliments left and right, and at the same time the entire internet was telling me I didn't deserve it. So it was a weird week. It was very it was weird, but who got the Grammys? Me.
Every time I see this clip, I expect an edit. I'm sorry. There's just too many. I've gotten too many edits where this is the intro clip and then it goes into the rest of the clip. And at the 2025 Grammys, right after announcing Album of the Year winner, the camera was panned to Billie, who looked very obviously upset. And it was talked about for a while, even after the night of the Grammys was over.
True Blue.
Ah yes, True Blue. I could go on and on about this because this song has so much lore, but Billie explains it best in this interview.
I want to explain Blue really quick for those that don't know. Basically, the first kind of quarter of that song is a song that Phineas and I made when I was 14 and he was 18, called True Blue. And for like the first concerts we ever did, like remember we did like
played it at It's a School Night.
We did it school night and like Tenants of the Trees or some nonsense. Like played it at different little clubs. Before I had really anything out, I had like maybe Ocean Eyes out, maybe not even anything else.
Yeah.
But we kind of just put it away and never.
There's a bunch of references to it in the doc. On the album, where like maybe we just put True Blue on the album.
We were like gonna put it out, but we never did because it just didn't. It kind of aged out of what we wanted to be making, and years went by, and
we stopped talking about it completely.
We completely never brought it up.
And then we were working on the second album.
Well, we were working on the second album, and then separately paused that part. On the second album, we were working on all the songs that are in that one, plus a song called Born Blue, which is like a completely different thing than True Blue. It wasn't even in the thought of it. And that was a song that was like written about a very specific thing that we want, whatever. But that was going to be on Happier Than Ever, and we kind of just like couldn't really crack it, and it didn't really.
It was a time thing. It was a crunch time thing where we picked 16 songs to be on the album.
16, and that's not.
And we had things we loved about Born Blue.
But there was only like a verse. Like we barely made that song.
You don't have time to finish at this point.
Yes.
Everybody,
No.
let's go.
Yeah.
You've got the 16 albums done.
So we did the same thing. We took it and we went like, bink, bye, and never thought of it again. And then in 2022, I remember like doing my laundry or something alone, and I don't know, I was like on TikTok or something, and suddenly True Blue has been just like leaked. Like,
Can I just ask you how you reacted in that moment in the laundry? If you could take us to that exact moment when
I
you
just
see
was
it.
like, I was like, well, this is like, I don't like the way that, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, it's an unfinished thing that I never wanted to come out.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm not complaining, whatever, because it was kind of cool after a second.
I mean,
I was like, I had my initial like, oh God, they fucking stole my shit again.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whatever, it's kind of cool, whatever. And then
But you started to appreciate it. This is the other thing.
then I started to appreciate it. And then I was like, True Blue. I haven't listened to it in so long. So I go on YouTube and I'm like, Billie Eilish True Blue, and I find all the rips of it. I just couldn't stop listening to this song. I didn't even have a version. I didn't even have the original version.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just was like, dude, I remember hitting Phineas up and I was like, the song is actually like really got something. And I see it now. Like I didn't see it for many years and now I see it. And so when we were working, we kind of came in here and we just tried to rework it. And it took a second.
The verses never felt right again.
The verses never felt right. And we kind of just we couldn't really crack it. And then we were just doing it one day and then Phineas started changing the chords and I started just singing Born Blue. And then we kind of had this like realization like, oh, you know what would be cool? We took both of these old songs that
resurrected them,
completely different parts of our lives, and resurrected them and made them into one song called Blue, and rewrote the verse and then wrote the rest of Born Blue.
So
and then
Born Blue is the second half of that song where it slows down and it gets that's the downer.
That's right.
That's the downer.
Drew falling out.
Drew is one of Billie's former best friends. It was never fully publicly explained why they stopped talking, so I have nothing to add to this.
Why Ocean Eyes was made.
The 2017 hit Ocean Eyes had been a song that Phineas had written and produced for his band at the time, the Slightleys, before realizing it would be a better fit for Billie's vocals. He gave it to her when her dance teacher at the time, Fred Diaz, again, how the fuck are these people getting this information? Asked them to write a song for choreography.
6 Feet Under.
Billie's first original song, or at least the first song that she ever made publicly available on her Spotify.
2022 Halloween costume with Jess.
Oh, okay. I don't like talking about this because in my opinion, this was kind of gross, but I digress. For the purpose of this video, in 2022, Billie and one of her now exes, Jessie, debuted their couple's Halloween costume. A baby and an old man. Yeah, not much else to say on that. Apparently, it was meant to be a joke to poke fun of their 10-year age gap. But no, most people agreed and thought that it was pretty fucking weird.
Sparkling water.
Billie hates sparkling water. Confirmed by this clip.
Somebody keeps getting sparkling water, and I don't know who.
Someone's getting fired. Someone's getting fired.
I don't know who to blame for it.
Don't point at me. We've only just met.
SC stories.
I'm assuming the CS in this stands for Snapchat. Yeah, Billie had a public Snapchat. Sometimes she posts on it. That's it. Just realized that this doesn't make any fucking sense. I was just being dyslexic. So, scratch that, reverse it. I have no fucking idea what this means.
Zanny Inspo.
In her documentary, Billie explained her and Phineas's inspiration for her very well-loved single from her debut album, Zanny.
Wrote Zanny the night before. I had been with a group of my friends and they all got drunk and were throwing up, and I wasn't.
And drooling.
And they were all, they were drooling, throwing up, drinking. And what was really weird to me is that nobody cared. Like, the first girl that got drunk and started throwing up, nobody, they, just held her hair back and just were like, she just was throwing up everywhere. And nobody was, fazed. And it was so weird. I just was like, what? This is normal. That's normal for you guys. Just watching my friends become completely not who they were. Watching their personalities just crumple up and fall. There was this girl there. She had 2 cigarettes in her hands, and she put both of them in her mouth, and she went like this. Hey, Billie. And she looked at me. She went, and she blew the smoke into my face. We wanted it to sort of sound like what it feels like to be in secondhand smoke. I was thinking,
you know, what does smoke look like? How can we make it sound the way that smoke looks and the way that smoke feels
In your lungs.
in your lungs, and what your lungs look like when there's smoke in your lungs. And
Overheated meaning.
Overheated, probably one of Billie's most controversial songs at the time, also has a very controversial meaning. Not really, she doesn't like say slurs or anything, but just here's a direct quote from Billie explaining the meaning behind Overheated. "We took the production from Not My Responsibility and turned it into a beat and then wrote Overheated. And it's really just about the same thing. Why the fuck is it such a shock that I look like all of you?" And I think that's the funny thing. The internet, you know, you feel so powerful and somehow invisible at the same time, but everybody sees it. You say crazy stuff on the internet thinking, nobody will see it. It's really just about the insanity of paparazzi and articles and comment sections and Twitter. I also feel like it can't just be me that whenever I listen to this song, I have an ungodly urge to scream. And everybody said it was a letdown. I was only built like everybody else now. But I didn't get a surgery to help out, so not about every reason else now.
Anime licensing.
I have no idea what this could mean. Really. Yeah.
biggest rumor though now, that I sold my soul to Satan.
Devil worshipping.
When All the Good Girls Go to Hell started to take off from her album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?, people who weren't a fan of Billie's music started using this song as a clutch to say that the song itself and the music video was proof that she worshipped the devil. Fun fact, I was listening to All the Good Girls Go to Hell when I was writing this part of the script. I love that.
ED.
I feel like this could be about two things. One, Billie has said before that she struggled with body dysmorphia and body image her entire life. In a 2021 interview with Vanity Fair, Billie talked openly about her relationship with food and her body, opening up about stuff like her self-harm, saying things like, "I think that the people around me were more worried about it than I was, because the reason I used to cut myself was because of my body." And the fact that the reason she started making baggy clothes her thing was because she was insecure of her body. She also admitted to unhealthy eating habits when she was in dance as a kid, and the fact that she used to take diet pills when she was only 12 years old. On a lighter note, she ended the interview saying that she was glad that her talking about her body image issues was making people feel less alone, saying, "I love having kids relate to me and tell me that I make them feel comfortable in their bodies. If I can do anything, I want to do that." But also, this article? I don't know. I feel like it's probably the first one.
Vines.
Billie used to be on Vine. Not many people know except for longtime fans, I guess. But her Vines are easily findable if you just look up Billie Eilish Vines. Thousands of compilations, I tell you.
My Chemical Romance.
Billie is known to be a fan of this popular rock band, and actually ended up meeting one of the members in October of 2022.
Bellyache Inspo.
Billie's Bellyache is inspired by a combination of her own experiences and a fictional narrative. Billie sings about themes of guilt, specifically guilt related to childhood actions like stealing toys, and also the fictional experience of a psychopath killing close people, with lyrics like, "My friends aren't far, in the back of my car lay their bodies," and "I'm biting my nails, I'm too young to go to jail, it's kind of funny." The themes of this song aren't that hard to spot. The song's title, Bellyache, is a hint at that guilt, the underlying message being that the narrator of the song now has a bellyache as consequence of the imagined horrific acts that they committed.
Matthew Tyler Vorse.
Matthew Tyler Vorse is an actor who dated Billie Eilish for about a year, from April 2021 to May 2022. They were first spotted together in Santa Barbara, and their relationship ended in May 2022, with Vorse confirming the breakup and denying cheating rumors on Instagram.
Danielle Bregoli falling out.
Danielle Bregoli, mostly known online as Bad Bunny, or the Catch Me Outside girl, spoke up about her relationship with Billie Eilish in a 2020 Instagram live stream, saying, "I think that I'm friends with Billie. I don't know if Billie's my friend. Every time I DM her and give her my number, she just doesn't text me. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what happens when bitches get famous. And then, I'm not trippin'. I know who my real friends are." The whole thing is kind of confusing to me, was to fans, and I'm sure still is to Danielle, because it never seemed like Billie ever had a problem with Danielle. They'd hung out multiple times, and most of the time publicly, so it doesn't really line up that Billie never responded to any of her DMs like she said. But just like Danielle, we never really got any closure on this issue since it was 5 years ago.
John Hurley.
In 2021, it was made public that Billie had filed a 5-year temporary restraining order on a man called John Matthew Horrell, someone who had been actively stalking her since August of the previous year. Billie said that for 6 months, Horrell had been harassing and threatening her while parked at a school across from her family home. August 2020, she said that he had begun leaving extremely disturbing and threatening letters to her family's property. One of the letters allegedly reads, "You can't get what you want unless what you want is to die for me." In the months following these letters, she claimed he slept on the school's property most nights and would stare at me while I enter and exit our family's home. Since this whole thing has become public, on the release date of Hit Me Hard and Soft, a lot of people speculated that the 8th track, The Diner, was about this stalker. But obviously, Billie would never confirm something like that.
Cutting.
I'm assuming that this has to do with the fact that Billie has mentioned her history of self-harm before. Billie has talked about her mental health history very openly before, but she's only brought up her self-harm briefly. She talked about this in an interview with iHeartRadio, saying, "I went through a whole self-harm phase. We don't have to get into it, but the gist of it was I felt like I deserved to be in pain." Also mentioning that she had nightly panic attacks before heading out on tour. "I cried for 2 hours every night. It was really, really bad. Thinking about that literally made me throw up. I'm not a throw-upper, but I threw up twice from the anxiety." Billie also mentioned that at the time of this interview in 2019, she occasionally sees girls at her concerts with scars on their arms. "It breaks my heart," she said. "I don't have any scars anymore because it was so long ago, but I've said to a couple of them, just be nice to yourself, because I know I was there."
6/18/18.
The song that Billie made that people speculated is about XXXTentacion's death. I mentioned this when I talked about XXX in general. Billie has only performed this song a couple of times, so there isn't much known information about it. These are a few lyrics from it though that can be very easily put into context.
Limbo.
This song was played by Billie on an Instagram live on August 21st. Fucking pasta with no sauce, bro! Oh my god. This song was played by Billie on an Instagram live stream on August 21st, 2017. Again, since this was an unreleased song, there isn't much on it except for the Instagram performance.
Sirens.
What I think this is referring to is a singer who goes by the name of Denzel Curry, and his song Sirens, or Sirens, however you want to spell it. A user on Reddit asked why Billie's name wasn't credited in the song, to which another user responded saying that Billie sent her vocals over to Denzel for the song, but because Billie's label didn't want her collaborating with the artist, nothing was ever done with them. Though the first thing that I thought of when I read this are the sirens at the end of Listen Before I Go, implying that the narrator of the song has committed.
Furniture touching the floor.
I have no fucking clue. I literally could find 0 on this.
B&J necklaces.
I'm assuming this is about Billie's Bloche necklace that she now sells as merch, but because of previous contents of this iceberg, this also could have something to do with Billie and Jesse. But hey, I guess we'll never know.
Because I'm in Love with You.
In 2018, Billie played an unreleased song called Because I'm in Love with You. Till this day, there has been no news about this except for a Genius page of lyrics.
Injuries.
Billie has had a handful of injuries because of conditions that she has, including Tourette's and hypermobility. In 2023, why do I keep turning into cheated animations? In 2023, Billie opened up about how a hip injury she sustained at age 13 turned into hypermobility, a condition that causes joint issues, and resulted in a lot of resentment against her body. Billie's hypermobility has been seen before, like her joints locking up on stage and her getting stuck in a position because of it.
Planning to do Roots in 2019.
I don't remember when, but I vividly remember Billie admitting that she had been planning to do Red Roots since 2019. I just can't find a clip of it somehow, but I swear I'm not schizophrenic. Please someone tell me they remember her saying this too. And that was the Billie Eilish iceberg. This was the most nonchalant video I've ever made.